create a brand new category.
India is a very aspirational country.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal numbers that we are talking about just on mutual fund.
In a way, you are fighting against primal urge of instant gratification.
20,000 crores can easily become 40,000 crores. So this is like phenomenal, right?
Yeah,
People are not
yeah.
going to regret starting their multiple journey. A lot of experiments have to be done. So some experiments work, some don't. All of us at Multipl and getting this to more people.
Hey. Thanks for tuning in to Fintech Quotient. I am Raunak Dembla, your guide through India's vibrant fintech scene. From the hustle and bustle of Mumbai to tech parks in Bengaluru and swanky offices of Delhi, we'll explore the stories of the entrepreneurs shaping the future of fintech. Whether you're an industry veteran or new to the fintech world, we've got something for you. Let's get started with today's episode of Fintech Quotient's Spotlight series. Hey everybody, Raunak here from Fintech Quotient. Today we are in conversation with Paddy Raghavan, the founder of Multipl. Paddy, absolute pleasure to do this with you and great to have you on the show. Finally, after planning this for a very long time. So thanks for doing this.
No, absolutely, Ronak. Thanks a lot for hosting me at your in your show. This is like a really pleasure to be here and talking to you.
Yeah, I think a quick insight for the people who don't know. I think Paddy, Jackson, and I go quite a long time back. We both started off on our journeys pretty much at the same time,
Yes,
and you guys have gone on to create a brand new category which India did not know about, right?
Right.
And that's what's very interesting for me in this episode to get into the mind of an entrepreneur who can create a new category and convince people that hey, you know what, you're all doing it wrong, you are supposed to do it the other way around, right? So
Right.
that's something that is pretty contrarian.
Yeah.
And would love to kind of start off with that point, Paddy.
Yeah.
When the whole world, and I remember this very clearly in 2020, buy now pay later was literally the buzz of the town. Everybody was talking about it. I remember feeling a lot of FOMO for not being a part of buy now pay later.
Right.
But around that time you guys came out with a different way of looking at things. So why don't you run me through what was going on in your mind during
Sure,
that time?
sure, Raunak. Yeah. So around the time when my previous startup I had exited and I was at Cisco, and then we were actually Vikas, Jags, and I, we got together and we were trying to build something in the personal finance space, and just looking at uh, the way that we are managing money, the way our friends are managing money, what they are doing with money. And we've been just observing this, talking to people, understanding what is happening. And what we figured out was a lot of us actually are investing in the market in different ways, like mutual funds, stocks, different ways. People have been investing for their long term needs. But when it came to their short term needs, which could be their needs and wants, like travel, gadgets, or anything to do with your annual insurance premium and stuff like that, we've not really been investing. We've been either keeping the money in savings account or using credit, like you mentioned,
Right.
BNPL or anything around that, right? So that's how the behavior was, which is where we thought we could actually bring investing game into your needs and wants, like to satisfy your needs and wants, which is what we started working with the whole concept of spendvesting, which is basically investing for your spends, is what the category is.
Mhm.
This is something that we are super excited about. We'll talk more about it, but that's what the genesis is. Like, can we bring something where we could actually help people live their aspirational life in a positive manner without getting into credit trap?
Actually, this is a very interesting point that you touch upon because I've spoken to a couple of founders who are in the buy now pay later space as well, and they have a different way of looking at this, right? And I had Mehul from Bharatex on the podcast where he said, "I want to cater to the aspirations of Bharat."
Correct.
Today, people in India are dreaming of buying the latest flashy gadget. They want to buy nice things which they want to indulge in. And if there's a gap between their capability to pay for right now, but they have the way to earn that money and buy it for themselves, I want to be able to enable that. So it's fantastic to see companies taking different approaches, but ultimately the end goal is pretty much the same, whether it's buy now, pay later, or save.
Catering to aspirations,
Exactly, right?
people's aspirations, and India is a very aspirational country,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same. The end objective is the same. What we are actually taking as a direction is to let people do that in a positive manner
Right.
through investing, because even with credit you would have to eventually pay it. So
Absolutely.
you're actually
Yes.
paying forward. Here you're actually investing earlier, so that is what we are saying,
Yeah.
because there is no escaping the final payment, right?
Right.
Either
Right.
you can pay more or you
Yes.
can invest earlier and pay less. So that's the thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So there are a couple of burning questions that I want to ask you, Paddy, and I'll just hold on until that. But let us quickly understand what a typical journey on Multipl would look like. So if you could address me as a potential user, could you just run me through what the journey would be like if I want to buy the latest iPhone?
Yeah. So essentially, the way Multipl is constructed is it helps you, like I said, it helps you invest for your spends. So Multipl is a SEBI RIA. We built a robo advisory. We are empaneled with all the AMCs. So we auto invest your money in curated market instruments. So you get returns which are better than your savings bank returns, which is where you keep the money most likely for your spends. So you're getting these mutual fund returns through a robo advisory, which is SEBI registered. So that is one part of it. The other part of it is we also partner with brands who actually, whatever is their interest subvention that they provide to credit providers, we've actually taken that and giving it back to the consumers. So
Okay.
you get this
Okay.
dual benefit of one coming from the markets, the other coming from the brands,
Right.
which makes it a very, very attractive value proposition, the
Uh
best
huh.
way for you to spend. So
Okay.
that's the core of what the product is, what you actually achieve on Multipl. But
Okay.
the way it is done, uh, to answer your question, so the journey would be like, Ronak wants to do, Ronak has certain things, right? You have your needs, you have your wants, and you have your savings.
Yeah.
And you're probably, the savings part is what you're investing in the markets. I know you do a lot of stuff, I know you would be doing that. But when it comes to your wants and needs, which are things like your travel, vacation travel, your
Hmm.
iPhone purchase, or iPhone 16, let's say, or your insurance premium for your
Sure.
car, so you could actually come to Multipl and then start investing for it for
Okay.
future.
Okay.
You're having an iPhone plan, say iPhone purchase plan, which
Uh
is
huh.
like, it's not there in the market yet. 16,
Right.
let's say,
Right.
it's
Yes.
coming in September or October, and you knew you wanted this maybe 4 months earlier, 6 months earlier, and you've been investing for it. That's what Multipl enables you to do.
Hmm.
You invest for your iPhone purchase. It's getting invested in the market, and you earn mutual fund returns, and you also can get benefits from the brand. Let's say you're actually purchasing this iPhone from Amazon or
Okay.
Flipkart or Maple, which is an Apple reseller, which are all our partners. So you get an additional benefit from these brands as well. So you get the mutual fund returns and the brand, and you end up paying lowest for your iPhone purchase. So that's sort of the the flow or the process in terms of how you would use Multipl.
Got it. Got it. Awesome. So, in a way, Paddy, you are fighting against, I think, what I would call a primal urge of instant gratification, right? Today, everybody wants to be able to afford, wants to be able to buy the latest gadget. Nobody wants to plan how they get there. So, can you give me a sneak peek into your strategy or the plan of how do you change habit and how do you change behavior?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, fundamentally, we are not changing behavior,
Okay.
because we are not coming and telling a user, like, hey, why do you want to buy your iPhone? Why do you want to travel? Why do you want to, buy a gadget or have some shopping stuff, right? So, we are
Okay.
not
Hmm.
preachy. We are not asking you to change your behavior. What we are actually providing as a platform is to enable you to invest for these aspirations. So, it's not really a behavior change. It's not against instant gratification as well. So, there are things that we can actually plan, like I mentioned, your vacation travel,
Hmm.
most
Hmm.
likely,
Right.
people have their
Yes.
windows when they travel. Anniversary gifting, hopefully,
Right.
when the
Yeah.
anniversary date is, and then you can actually start planning for it. Your car insurance premium, so you can plan for things, right? So things that you can plan, you can start investing. But the platform is built in such a way that you can actually start investing for things that you can't plan. So
Right.
you have
Right.
something where we call this as an open goal, so where you just keep investing and you dip into that anytime that you would want to spend,
Okay.
right? So we are
Got it.
catering to both a planned sort of a spend and an unplanned or instant gratification needs as well. So the platform supports that. So it is aligned to a consumer's behavior. So we are not looking at behavior change. It's more about bringing a positive way to fulfill your aspirations.
So, a burning question for me, Paddy, is people try to find leverage in everything that they do. So I see a clear opportunity here where somebody could probably use a buy now pay later to get the product then and there, but at the same time start an investment through Multipl, which will essentially give them return on that investment as well. But I see the flaw in that plan that they won't get the brand discount.
Correct. That's right. Yeah. So we've not seen that, but what we have seen is people who have been, users of BNPL products have come to the platform and said, "Hey, I'm already on credit, bought some stuff on BNPL, but I'm going to make other spends, which is where I'm coming to Multipl
Right,
for
right,
investing, and I
right,
would want to get out of a
right,
BNPL mindset because
right,
fundamentally, people, whether they are taking a
right,
BNPL product or not, they know that it is not something that is good. So they
right,
feel
right.
that this is
Yes,
not the right thing to do,
yes.
and they feel Multipl is the right thing to do. So that is where there is a lot more, for us, a lot more satisfaction when we are actually getting a consumer to transact or invest through us. They feel that this is something that they are doing good.
Awesome. The fintech enthusiast in me really wants to understand what the supply side of Multipl looks like. So if you could just spend 2 minutes and run us through that, that'll be very insightful.
Um, in terms of the brands, uh,
Both the brands as well as the investment side of things.
investments, yeah. So for us, right now, from a user standpoint, we have more than 500,000 users across iOS and Android, and we've got 100 brands that we've actually partnered with. And on the investment side, we are empaneled with all the AMCs. And so our investment research team analyzes all the 1400 plus funds and sort of allocates the right fund or right mix of funds for a consumer based on their risk profile, based on the current market conditions. So that's where we are in terms of the users, in terms of the brands, in terms of the
Got it.
market, the mutual fund integrations as well.
Right, right. And obviously, everybody knows this, but the inflows into mutual funds have been at an all-time high, right? And it's pretty much surprising how the money just keeps coming, irrespective of whether the market's going up, market's
Absolutely.
sideways.
Yeah.
So I think players like you have played a major role
Yeah.
in getting to this point.
Right. No, this is like a brilliant point, Raunak, because if you really, I was looking at the stats, and
Right.
the mutual fund inflows have been like, all of us know that it's growing, but the numbers are staggering. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it has crossed in June 20,000 crores SIP, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and May was 20,000, June is 21,000. Phenomenal numbers that we are talking about just on mutual fund in terms of penetration. And of course, we made our sort of a dent in this in terms of adding
Yeah.
it to the volume. But the way we are looking at it is, uh, from a consumer's standpoint, if you do the budgeting principle
Right.
of
Right.
50 30 20,
Okay.
50% is going to your needs, 30% is going to your wants,
Okay.
and 20% is what is getting saved or invested. Of
Right.
course,
Right.
it can vary individual to individual, but that's like the
Exactly.
broader principle, right? So now the 20,000 crore that we are talking about, it's basically coming from the 20% saving corpus.
Right.
And what Multipl is trying to do is to let you invest for your needs and wants. So this could actually double, right? If things like Multipl, companies like Multipl, if we are able to enable
Yeah.
investors,
Yeah.
people to invest for your needs and wants, now we are actually shifting this needle by a big time, right? So the 20,000 crores can easily become 40,000 crores.
50,000 crores even,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean, yeah, so I think the addressable market is a very, very, very huge opportunity for you. And this must have surely got the investors excited when you went to pitch. So for the uninitiated, you've just raised a round now. So what does the next few months look like for you, Paddy?
yeah.
What do you have in store?
Yeah, you started off with the intro talking about Multipl is creating a new category with Spendvesting, and category creation is a challenge. We knew it is a hard problem, and we intentionally took on this problem because we fundamentally believe this category has potential. So for us, the immediate roadmap looks around establishing the category, talking to more people, getting the attention of consumers that you can actually now invest for your needs and wants. You can basically spend less. So there is a lot of effort that is going to go towards taking this category, but there are also a lot of product level work that we are doing we are coming up with some exciting features which enables even micro transactions, investing at a micro level. We are actually bringing those features out. So yeah, a lot of product related work that we are very excited about, and also from a conceptually establishing this category. So there is going to be a lot of effort in that direction.
Very, very interesting. So, Paddy, I think if you were to kind of just roll back time to 4 years ago, and you were on the cusp of starting this journey with Multipl, what what was on your mind? How what were the frameworks that you were using to essentially create a category, right? Because you're fighting an uphill battle with users, probably with investors, with trying to convince the early team members to come in and join you to do this with you. So if you could just give us an understanding of what the mind of an entrepreneur works like to be able to achieve this, because today, 4 years on, you've really done an incredible job, outlasted a lot of the players who've come in and tried to disrupt this space. So, and there is a significant amount of money flowing into the antithesis that you're working on, right? So, how have you navigated the last 4 years, and what are your key takeaways in terms of building a product that is not going with the flow?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, even when great question. Actually, great questions. The when we started out thinking about building Multipl, like I gave you the genesis story, but even there are some anecdotal examples, right? So we had in my own network people actually going on travel
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
Europe. Actually, this was pre-COVID,
Okay.
going on travel to Europe, taking a credit card loan and
Right.
then doing
Right.
this.
Right.
I know this is how bad an approach this is. So these are
Yes.
well educated
Yeah.
people who are actually having a good income, but they took a credit card loan to travel to Europe. Thankfully, this person was able to sustain that, but there
Hmm.
was a 36% interest
Right.
this
Right.
person
Right.
had to
Yeah.
pay. And he had, whenever this talk about Europe travel comes up, he's like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. So the memories are not about
Yeah.
beautiful places that he went to, but the 36%
The
interest that he
regret.
was paying, right?
Yes.
So this was actually one of those examples that really motivated us to build a product which could help people achieve their aspirations, but in a positive way. So the
Understood.
whole thing around building something new, something positive was a motivation for us. And thankfully, it has been a motivation for the team as well, and investors who saw that this is something that you can actually do good and still build something that is profitable, build something
Yeah.
that is valuable, right? So that has been the sort of a primary motivation for us. But in
Right.
terms of a framework, in terms of how we look at things, how I look at things, so I've been through the journey earlier as well. So there are certain learnings that you get, right? So that really helps in
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
First time to second time to third time, there are like huge differences.
Absolutely.
This, it's something that really sort of gives you. It's not like you are just increasing your odds of success, right? So it's still there is a there are so many uncertainties that you play with,
Absolutely.
but it's just that there are fundamental aspects that you would cover. The team trusts you more. Investors also bring a lot more trust to this. So those are things
Hmm.
that really helped us in terms of starting this. And the product itself is something that we are very fascinated about. It's a blue ocean. It's a category creation, not just
Right.
in India
Right.
but globally. So those are things that really even today motivates us.
Yeah, I think Patty, you like you mentioned, you've been a founder in the past. You've seen how things have evolved. You've seen how you've essentially grown a business right from the start till the logical conclusion, right? So, having been through that journey, and now you've been through the multiple journey as well, and it's been quite a while. I'm pretty sure there must have been certain mistakes that you made along the way, which today hold you in good stead. So, want to ask you, Paddy, if you could talk to aspiring entrepreneurs who are listening to this episode, what would your advice to them be in terms of the mistakes you made or the learnings that you've got from those mistakes?
Yeah. You're right, right? The last point that you mentioned, it's the learnings that actually,
Yeah,
so there are no mistakes, there are just learnings and experiences.
yeah, or
So,
repeated learnings.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's the fundamental thing is about keeping an eye on what is really happening with your business. What is it that you're doing? So look at the data, look at the sense in terms of what are those things that are happening,
Okay.
so you could actually course correct. So it's a feedback loop that you should be conscious about,
Okay.
that helps you sort of navigate, because you keep experimenting, especially when you're building a new category, when you're building a
Right.
product.
Right.
There are things that you don't have a template that somebody has done and then you are just replicating it here. So a lot of experiments have to be done. So some experiments work, some don't. So you'll have to be sort of cognizant about what you're really
Right.
doing, so that you
Right.
can actually course correct, you can actually do this. So that's one thing that I would say. It's about being watchful. And also, in terms of going after an opportunity, uh, especially which is an antithesis sort of a thing,
Right.
you need to be very sure in terms of the market opportunity. Sometimes you may be early. So what you have to do is to be persistent,
Okay.
not dogmatic, but more about persistent in a way that you fine tune things, but you still be at it. So yeah, that kind of an agency really helps.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
more about, I mean, if you're just asking about a mistake, a particular one, that I would say, we started out with our domain, which we still have, which is multiple.xyz,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this particular domain, because we decided XYZ because it's for the Gen X, Y, and Z,
Right. Right.
right? So it made sense to have this as multiple.xyz. Google is abc.xyz, so we never saw this as an issue. But later on, once we started operating, we realized a lot of our mails have been going to spam, because XYZ has a sort of, it's
Yeah.
not, it's filtered out by many of the
Yeah.
spam
Yeah.
filters and all that. So then we actually moved on, as in we bought another domain
Okay.
.in.
Understood.
So we also
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
multiple.in. So yeah, domain actually is something that we could have figured out earlier,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
But interestingly, I just saw somebody got a 2.5 mil raise and spent 1.8 million on
On.
buying a domain yesterday.
Eesh.
So this is like friend.com, I think. So it's an interesting thing how important domain names can be. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
one thing that
yeah,
I can
yeah.
remember that we could have
Sometimes
figured
the
out.
news around these kind of transactions itself gives you the kind of buzz, right? You don't
True. I
necessarily
think,
need to
yeah,
depend
that's
on the
true.
domain.
Yeah.
So I actually wanted to check with you. I was listening to this episode of a podcast with Michael Siebel, where they were talking about when do you trust data and when do you trust your gut. And one of the clear outcomes from that episode for me was Michael said, listen, you know what? If you've been in the space, if you've spent a lot of time building products, and if you've seen success, then for all do believe in your gut, because maybe there are contrarian episodes pardon me, that maybe there are contrarian thought processes which deserve to be explored. But if you're a new kid on the block and you've come out with this whole fascinating idea that you believe will change the world, then you know what, you're better off sticking to data.
Data.
Wanted to quickly get your take on this, Paddy.
Yeah.
What How do you believe this works?
That's a great point, and something that kind of makes me reflect as well. So for us, it's a combination,
Hmm.
Raunak.
Hmm.
So some of the experiments at a micro level, data really plays a big role.
Okay.
But at a macro level, what we are building as a product, what we want to establish as a behavior,
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
terms of getting people to invest for
Hmm.
your spends, so that remains the same. That is more of the gut part of it
Right.
drives a lot of that,
Right.
while a data part drives a lot of our experiments and
Right.
what we
Right.
do as a tactical level.
Right. Cool. I think, yeah, it's a very, very interesting topic when you think about it. There's actually so much that an entrepreneur can add. But now that brings me to the next point. I can call you a seasoned entrepreneur now. So, what are frameworks that you've used that have worked for you, or what are pro tips that you would want to share with our listeners that have really worked? And what was that learning that you got?
Yeah. No. So for me personally, it's always been build something which is unique. That is
Okay.
something that I've been fascinated about. Build a product which is not there, which is not evidently there, which has not been done in the right way. So that is my sort of a cup of
Got it.
tea. So I
Got
would
it.
like to pick a space which is not there, which has not got a
Okay.
product. I would actually always go for that. That sort of excites me personally. But in terms of framework, definitely I would say one is you need to get the right team. That's super critical.
Yeah.
Given my sort of experience, I would put that at the top in terms of
Absolutely.
getting the right team
Absolutely.
early on, because that is what sort of lays the foundation for your business. So
Absolutely.
you need to
Yeah.
get your
Yeah.
team right. So that is super critical
Right.
for anyone who's starting out I would urge them to get that team sorted,
Yeah.
the early sort of team to help you lay the
The core team.
foundation.
Yeah.
The second is around agency. Of course, it's sort of a given when you're an entrepreneur, you need to bring high agency,
Mm-hmm.
but something where you keep doing things, you actually have to be relentless.
Right. Right.
Right, you just have to, like I said earlier, you need to look at data, you need to have gut, but there has to be a fundamental attribute which is being relentless
Yeah.
in terms of your the whole business building challenge, right? So you
Uh-huh.
are going
Uh-huh.
to face a lot of challenges, whatever you are actually building and whatever level you are, and we've
Yeah.
seen this with established businesses getting some regulatory hit, or
Hmm.
new
Absolutely.
companies having going through some security issues or some other challenges, right? So challenges are bound to happen.
Yeah.
So it is important that you actually bring high agency, which is one way of tackling these challenges. So yeah, for me, just breaking it down, team and high
Agency.
agency are super critical things that you would have to be sorted when you're actually starting up.
Yeah, and when you got the right folks with the right mindset, I think a lot of look, entrepreneurship in what I've seen is not a smooth journey. It's definitely not something where you have a lot of clarity on what has to be done. There are decisions that you have to make. There are decisions you have to make and implement them fast. It could be, it could take you in a completely different direction. And if your team is not in it for the journey, it's only going to make things difficult for you as a
Difficult,
founder.
correct, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And
Yeah,
the agency part, I completely agree. And I think in my journey as well, I've seen this play out pretty often, wherein when you hire great people
yeah,
and you let them do their thing, things work out.
absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah, spot
awesome.
on.
Yeah, so Paddy, we are in 2024, right? And probably no conversation is complete without bringing in AI. So let's address that elephant in the room. For Multipl, is there AI?
Yeah.
And can you just kind of quickly touch upon that?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, because this is something that I personally, it's a one of the favorite things. I come from a tech
Yeah,
background,
yeah,
so Gen AI is something that I'm super excited
right,
about in terms of the potential, what
right.
it offers in general, and in particular to Multipl as
Yeah.
well. So super excited about what Gen AI brings to the table. So for us, we've actually started looking at Gen AI seriously
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
in multiple angles. Multiple angles. So one is around. We've got a chat bot that we've already integrated on the app, so you can actually go and ask this around
Okay,
why should I spend west, how can I spend west for my travel, how can I spend west for my car insurance. So it
okay,
is like
okay.
natural language, and it sort of, it's very good that we've
Right.
already built one aspect of it. It's more of an exploratory thing, but that's a start that we've actually taken up. We've also practicing LLMs, Gen AI, in terms of our engineering principles,
Okay.
in terms of helping our developers. So we've started incorporating Gen
Right.
AI into
Right.
that as well. But as we move forward, I think there is going to be more Gen AI usage in terms of in terms of prediction, modeling, investment. So this is like very exciting. We've not done that, but I'm super excited about the possibilities that Gen AI can have.
Right. 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 Yeah. Awesome, man. So very quickly to wrap this up, Paddy, if I were to ask you, what is some problem statement that keeps you up at night?
Yeah.
What would your answer to that be?
Yeah, I mean, this is like I don't thankfully, like touch wood, I don't take my problems to the sleep, but I'm already always thinking about it
Right.
as I get up or just before I sleep. So it's I mean, for me today it's just about multiple. How do we
Okay.
actually take this, make this big, make the business go to its potential?
Mm-hmm,
Because
mm-hmm.
we spoke about 20,000 crore going into SIPs, mutual funds, on the, which is the
Right.
20%
Right.
savings part. And what could this be if we bring in the needs and wants? So this is like a really big opportunity that we are talking about. So it's more about establishing Multipl as a brand and a category, Spendvesting as a category. So
Uh-huh.
that is what keeps me excited, keeps me thinking all the time. So what are the things that we should be doing to take this to
Understood.
people? So it is an interesting challenge. And all of us, not just me, everyone at Multipl, we are like super pumped up about solving this and getting this to more people.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that through this episode, people get to listen to what is going on in your mind, and if at all there are any fence sitters out there in the market, I hope it addresses them and kind of gets them curious to come in and give it a shot,
Yeah.
right? So what's the lowest ticket size that somebody can come in on
You can
Multipl?
actually do this even at 100 rupees today, as low as 100. So that's where I was going to say there is no
Yeah.
barrier to enter and test this out, because it is going to make this visible in terms of what Spendvesting can do, giving you the returns from mutual funds through the advisory, and the brands also contributing. So this makes it like a really exciting opportunity for people to even test it. Like, you can just do this for 100 rupees and then spend this on Amazon with an additional Amazon
Right.
contribution, right? So as low as that, because, or you can do this for a Zomato
Right.
order,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
people can just come and experiment and then see what really this can do. Because once you do this, this is like a no-brainer. The downside is very low. Even in the case of
Yeah.
extreme volatile markets, our
Markets.
investment research team has been able to provide the right sort of an investment guideline. So we've been at about average of about 9% on the lower side for goals which are much shorter, and
Right.
for longer duration people have actually achieved 25-26% sort
Wow.
of returns,
Yeah.
right? So that is on the market part. And then the brands part could be anywhere between 5 to 10% an additional thing. So this is like phenomenal, right? In terms of the math, this beats every other mechanism of spending. So
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
people are not
Yeah.
going to regret starting their multiple journeys.
Yeah. It's super exciting to even consider, when you're making a big purchase, the kind of delta that you'd be able to achieve with this. So folks, that's it for this episode with Multipl. I'm sure you'll have certain questions that you'd like to ask Paddy. So what we could do is, Paddy, could you just let our listeners know how they could reach you if they have any questions?
Yeah, for sure. I'm on LinkedIn. Paddy Raghavan is my LinkedIn profile, but you can also reach me over email, paddy@multipl.in. Not XYZ is still there, but
Yeah.
at in, multipl.in is what my email ID would be. Happy to take up any questions about the podcast that we just had, or specifically about Multipl. Happy to take those.
Awesome, guys. So you know what to do. Hit up Paddy with all the burning questions that you have, and do give it a shot. 100 rupees is a very small amount to get started with. But until then, do keep the fintech thoughts flowing, and we'll see you on the next episode. And that's a wrap for this episode of Fintech Quotient's Spotlight. Do share your feedback, thoughts, ideas, and even your fintech stories with me. Your feedback will help us to do better. Our social media handles are plugged in the description below. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Spread the fintech fever by sharing this podcast with your friends, colleagues, and anyone passionate about fintech. Until next time, keep those insights flowing, and let's build the future of fintech together.